In the world of cinema, one character has continued to captivate audiences for over a century, Count Dracula. But behind every great vampire, there have always been the Brides of Darkness, ethereal and alluring yet terrifying. Today we delve into the history of Count Dracula's brides in television and cinema. When referencing the Brides of Dracula, we're talking specifically about three women in Bram Stoker's novel who are revealed to be hidden in Dracula's castle. We find out their existence when Jonathan Harker goes against Dracula's wishes and explores the castle after dark. They seduce him, but Count Dracula ends up saving Jonathan prior to them being able to feed on him. This is only temporary, as Dracula, once he's done with Harker, does eventually give him to the women, but he eventually escapes. They are then killed by Dr. Van Helsing towards the end of the story, shortly after they attempt to bring Jonathan's wife Mina into their family. Their first on-screen appearance comes in the original 1931 Todd Browning version of Dracula starring Bela Lugosi. In their brief appearance in the film, they are story accurate in look, played as two darker-haired younger women and a blonde, slightly more mature female who seemingly has rank over the other two. Being this is the early days of film, they are not given a very large role, and the sexuality aspect in the book is played down with them being more creepy. This would be a general staple for all Dracula films going forward, with the brides having very small, diminished roles, often without any lines of dialogue when the story is being retold. One of the change from the book in the original film is that they attack Renfield and not Jonathan Harker. One of the interesting facts about the trio is nowhere in the original novel are they ever actually referred to as brides, instead being referenced as the sisters. They're also more powerful than any version has really let them be in visual media, as it's said in the novel that merely looking at them will put you in a trance, which allows them to feed it, with even Dr. Van Helsing falling victim to it when he goes to kill them. While most films never show the brides in this manner, films with female vampire leads like The Vampire Lovers and Fright Night 2 have copied that portion of the Dracula novels for scenes in which the vampire hunter attempts to kill a female vampire. As for where the term The Brides of Dracula comes from, it wasn't truly made famous until Hammer Studios began producing their brand of vampire films, with their second being titled Brides of Dracula, a film which isn't actually a Dracula film at all. For more on that film, check out my recap in the link in the description. Not only was Brides of Dracula not a Dracula film, but fact is, Hammer Studios avoided the original Brides altogether. In the first vampire film, titled Horror of Dracula, which was loosely based on the Bram Stoker novel, the brides were replaced by just one female vampire, played by Valerie Gaunt. She lures Jonathan Harker into a false sense of security by claiming to be a victim of Dracula holding her prisoner, before seducing him and then trying to bite him. Arguably, this vampiress is much more vicious than the sisters of the novel, as she goes after Harker again even after Dracula pulls her off. Despite not having the original sisters, Hammer's versions, instead of having already established female vampires, will be known for having him turn women he encounters in each movie who had relationships with the antagonists and used them usually as henchpeople to get the various men coming after him out of the way, using seduction. Christopher Lee as Dracula wouldn't see the traditional brides until he reprised the role for Jess Franco in his 1970 version of the film. In fact, it wouldn't be until the 1970s where giving the brides as a group speaking roles in films based on the novel wouldn't get normalized, starting with this film and then again in the 1977 BBC version of Dracula. Arguably, the original brides would not get the proper treatment of being both seductive and scary until 1992's Francis Ford Coppola film Bram Stoker's Dracula, where instead of being nameless, personalityless, interchangeable, creepy women, or girls teasing their food in a short throwaway scene like years past, the bride's seduction of Jonathan Harker, as well as their attempted recruitment of Mina Murray, are treated as major plot points of the film that get major screen time. Played by Monica Bellucci, Michaela Bercu, and Florina Kendrick, this version is probably to this day the standard for treatment of the original story. The brides have also made a few appearances outside of the standard Dracula films, but generally in similar roles as they would have as nameless cameos with no lines. In 1987's The Monster Squad, where a group of kids must save their town from all of the Universal monsters, the sisters do make an appearance alongside Dracula in scenes attacking the kids. In the premiere of the 5th season of the WB series Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where Buffy meets Dracula, the sisters, as they are correctly referenced, are seen stalking the guys looking to help Buffy, and eventually go after Buffy's watcher Giles after he falls into their lair in the castle. Side note, I believe this Dracula and the sisters are the only vampires in the series to not turn demon-like when they turn, and just have elongated fangs. Also in the 2009 horror parody Stan Helsing, the protagonists run into the brides, who end up being strippers at a club they run into. By far the most fleshed out version of the original brides would come in the 2004 action film Van Helsing. This version would be the first time the brides would get names and individual personalities, and would be major antagonists in a film who do the majority of the dirty work when it comes to attacking villagers, instead of just blink and you'll miss his side characters. And while the looks don't necessarily follow the books, the hierarchy does. The oldest and wisest bride is Verona. Because of this, she is usually seen trying to focus the other two with the task at hand because they are younger and more careless. The first of the two younger ones is Allure. All that's known about her is that she was at one point one of the village girls and knew movie protagonist Anna Valerius before she has been turned, so the fight scenes between the two are more personal than just hunter and prey. And finally, the youngest is Marischka. She's also the most cocky, which means she doesn't last that long after their first meeting with Van Helsing, as instead of just going for the kill, as Verona suggests, she plays around and taunts while flying around, leading to a holy water-laced arrow right to the heart. To this day, this film is the one and only time the original brides themselves have been major characters with fleshed out roles, lines, and a backstory, but it wasn't supposed to be. In 2020, ABC Television was developing a nighttime drama called The Brides. The plot revolved around Dracula's brides, who eventually turned on him and set out on their own, and follows their exploits living in modern-day society, with one being a real estate mogul, one owning a modeling agency, and the third being a singer. Due to budget cuts, the show never released, but footage here is from the preview trailer. This not coming out is a major disappointment, as seeing Gotham vixen Erin Richards as a vampiress is something I truly was looking forward to. From silent cinema to modern reimagining, Count Dracula's brides have undergone a fascinating transformation. These women have transcended their initial roles as mere seductresses, evolved into complex, multifaceted characters who reflect on changing societal norms and values. What was your favorite portrayal of the brides? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you like these recaps, please leave a like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to know every time I update. There is now an option to be a channel member where you'll get access to exclusive recaps from late night vampire catalogs like Showtime, Cinemax After Dark, USA Up All Night, and much more. If you want to help my channel grow, please check out my Patreon, where members can get exclusive content that can't be uploaded on YouTube, along with download options. Link is in the description.